Some people do not enter your life to walk beside you, but to lean on you until you can no longer stand. They learn your soft places, not to protect them, but to press on them gently, repeatedly, until you doubt your own strength. They call it care, they call it need, they call it love, but love does not consume and care does not control. What drains you is not generosity, it is manipulation dressed in familiar faces. Tonight, we are not here to harden our hearts or turn cold toward the world. We are here to wake up, to recognize the patterns that steal our peace and the voices that profit from our silence. Because the truth is this: you were not born to be used, you were born to be whole. And the moment you see the difference, you begin the sacred work of choosing yourself without guilt, without apology, and without fear. You must learn the difference between helping from love and giving yourself away from fear. There is a quiet power in saying yes when your heart truly wants to, and there is a quiet destruction in saying yes because you are afraid of being abandoned, criticized, or judged. The world has taught us to please, to accommodate, to carry the burdens of others as if our own strength has no limits. But your spirit is not a tool to be borrowed at will, it is a sanctuary. When you give from love, it nourishes both your soul and the soul of another. When you give from fear, it leaves cracks in your own foundation. And one day, those cracks may swallow the very light you have been trying to share. Watch for the signs. When someone only comes to you when they need something, but disappears when you need them, that absence is a lesson dressed in silence. They may apologize, they may make excuses, but the truth speaks louder than their words. Your heart does not exist to fill the gaps in someone else's life while your own gaps go unnoticed. To feel used is not a flaw in you. It is clarity from the universe, a signal that it is time to reclaim the energy you have been lending without reciprocity. Manipulation is subtle, like water wearing down stone. It comes in the form of guilt, of flattery, of quiet reminders that you owe someone for your kindness. It whispers that if you were truly good, you would not need to ask for fairness, respect, or even basic consideration. And slowly, your voice begins to tremble when you speak. Your choices begin to bend under invisible pressure, and your light dims just a little every day. But you must remember, no one has the right to steal your confidence. No one has the right to rewrite your boundaries. No one has the right to make you question your worth. It is not easy to step away, to draw lines, to choose yourself over someone else's comfort. The world calls it selfish, but it is not selfish. It is self-preservation. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot love fully when your soul is being siphoned dry. To protect your peace is not cruelty. It is courage. Courage to face the disappointment of others without losing yourself. Courage to say no without apology. Courage to honor the rhythm of your own heart. And in this courage, there is liberation. In choosing yourself, there is power. When you wake up to manipulation, when you recognize the ways you have been used, you do not close your heart. You open it to something greater: respect, dignity, and love that does not demand your surrender. You remember that your life is yours, that your energy is sacred, and that you deserve relationships that honor both your presence and your boundaries. You are not difficult. You are not cold. You are awakening. And the first step toward freedom is to see the truth, feel the truth, and embrace the truth. You were never meant to be used. You were meant to rise. You were meant to shine. And when you finally choose yourself, fully and without hesitation, the world must learn to meet you there, or step aside. When someone only remembers you in their moments of need, but disappears in your moments of pain, that silence is a message. It is a message that speaks not to your weakness, but to your clarity. It tells you that you have been giving too much, offering pieces of your heart where they were never truly wanted, and lending your strength where it was never truly appreciated. That silence is not empty. It is a mirror reflecting the truth you have been too gentle to see. That not everyone who calls your name deserves to hear yours called back. We are often taught that love is measured by sacrifice and that loyalty is proven by endless patience. But there is a difference between giving from the heart and giving until there is nothing left to give. When your presence becomes a currency traded only for someone else's convenience, it is no longer generosity. It is being used. The world may call it devotion, they may call it friendship, but deep inside, your soul knows the difference. Your spirit remembers the hours spent waiting for a call that never came, the words that were said only when it suited them, the hugs that were offered in need, but withdrawn in sorrow. That is not love, that is a lesson. Manipulation wears many masks. Sometimes it comes in sweetness, in charm, in laughter, in quiet persuasion. Sometimes it comes as guilt, as subtle reminders that if you loved enough, gave enough, endured enough, things would be different. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your confidence begins to fade. You question your feelings, your boundaries, your worth. You apologize for needing care, for speaking your truth, for simply being human. But understand this, no one has the right to steal your power or silence your voice. No one has the right to measure your worth by what you provide rather than who you are. To protect yourself is not selfish. To step back, to set boundaries, to say no, these are acts of courage. They are declarations that your heart is not a playground for the convenience of others, that your spirit is not a tool to be taken when convenient. When you stop allowing people to use you, you do not close yourself to love. You open yourself to respect, to honesty, to connection that does not come at the cost of your peace. You begin to recognize the faces of those who bring light, who lift, who honor rather than drain. And in this awakening, there is freedom. In choosing yourself, you reclaim what was quietly taken, your energy, your dignity, your voice. You are not difficult, you are not cold, you are not unkind, you are awake. You are learning to stand firmly, to speak clearly, to love wisely, and to live fully. When you honor your own needs, when you demand reciprocity, when you refuse to let others diminish your value, you are not just surviving, you are rising. That silence, that absence, that unspoken message, it is not rejection, it is liberation. And in that liberation, your soul finally remembers how brightly it can shine. Emotional manipulation often wears the mask of kindness, but underneath it lives control, guilt, and quiet cruelty. It is a subtle poison, creeping into your life disguised as care, concern, or love. At first, it feels like guidance, like someone looking out for you, and you trust it because who would question a hand that appears gentle? But slowly, ever so quietly, it begins to shape your decisions, bend your choices, and twist your heart. What you thought was support is not support at all. It is a leash. And the hardest part is that it comes wrapped in words so sweet you almost believe them until the cost is your peace, your confidence, your very sense of self. Manipulation speaks softly, but its effects are loud. It makes you doubt your instincts, question your worth, and apologize for feelings that are entirely yours. It thrives in the moments when you put others' comfort above your own. A smile can become a weapon, a compliment, a chain, a gentle suggestion, a rule. You begin to bend yourself without realizing it, to give more than you have, to forgive more than you should, to endure more than is fair. And yet, because it comes with kindness, it hides in plain sight. The world applauds generosity, but it rarely recognizes the moments when generosity is demanded rather than freely given. You are not wrong for noticing this. You are not weak for feeling drained by it. You are awake, and awareness is your first step toward freedom. When you see the pattern, the guilt that follows a refusal, the praise that masks control, the constant pressure to bend without question, you must listen to it. It is not your responsibility to fix the hearts of those who seek to use you. nor is it your duty to remain silent for the sake of appearances. You are allowed to step back, to speak your truth, and to protect your boundaries. Kindness is not a weapon, and love is not a chain. True care uplifts, true love empowers. When someone's kindness leaves you smaller, quieter, uncertain, it is not a reflection of your generosity. It is a reflection of their hunger for control, and you must not feed it. The courage to recognize this, to reclaim your power, and to place yourself at the center of your own life is not cruelty. It is survival. It is an act of respect for the person you are becoming. In choosing yourself over manipulation, you begin to rise. You see that boundaries are not walls, but shields. That saying no is not rejection, but self-respect. That walking away from control disguised as care is not betrayal, but liberation. You remember that your heart is sacred, your energy is precious, and your spirit was never meant to be a playground for someone else's control. And in this remembering, you find your voice, your strength, and your light. The mask may be sweet, the words may be gentle, but your clarity is louder. You are free to stand tall, to love wisely, and to live fully, and no quiet cruelty can ever take that from you. If your no is always questioned, punished, or ignored, understand this. Your boundaries are being treated like inconveniences. They are not suggestions, nor are they hurdles meant to be jumped over. They are the sacred lines you draw around your soul, the quiet declarations that your time, your energy, and your heart have value. And when someone tries to erase those lines, to challenge them, or to make you feel guilty for them, it is not love. They are attempting to claim power that is not theirs to take. Your no is your voice. Your no is your strength. And it is your right to speak it without hesitation, without apology, and without fear. So many of us have been taught to fear the discomfort of others more than we fear losing ourselves. We bend, we explain, we justify, and sometimes we even apologize for saying what is true. But a boundary is not a demand for perfection from others. It is an assertion of your worth. When someone ignores it, they are teaching you a lesson in clarity, that you must honor yourself first, that your peace is not optional, that your heart is not a playground for someone else's convenience. And in that clarity lies freedom, though it may come wrapped in the sting of disappointment. It is not easy to stand firm when those around you push back, when they question your motives, when they make you feel selfish for wanting simple respect. But understand this, respecting your limits is the most generous gift you can give to yourself and to the world. Boundaries do not shut people out. They protect the spaces in which love, care, and trust can grow authentically. Without them, kindness becomes exploitation, generosity becomes obligation, and your spirit becomes invisible in the shadows of others' demands. Every time you speak your no, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you refuse to bend for someone else's discomfort, you teach yourself that your needs are not negotiable. And with each act of courage, you build a life that is aligned with your truth rather than one shaped by the wishes of those who cannot honor your limits. You may meet resistance, anger, or confusion, but these reactions belong to them, not to you. Your clarity is your compass, your peace is your prize, and your boundaries are the gates through which only those who respect and uplift you may enter. And so remember that a no spoken from a place of self-respect is not rejection, it is revelation. It is the unveiling of a life in which you are allowed to exist fully, freely, and unapologetically. It is the first step in learning to protect your heart from being used, your mind from being manipulated, and your spirit from being diminished. When your boundaries are honored, you shine brighter. When they are challenged, you rise stronger. And in both, you learn the most important lesson of all, that your voice matters, your peace matters, and you are never wrong for defending what is yours. Love should not leave you exhausted, confused, or constantly apologizing for having feelings. True love is not a battlefield where you must fight for validation or endure the weight of another's control. It does not drain the light from your eyes or silence the voice in your heart. When love asks you to diminish yourself, to second guess your emotions, to carry burdens that are not yours to carry, it is not love at all. It is a demand for your surrender. And no soul is meant to survive in surrender that is forced rather than chosen. Many of us have known the ache of loving someone who cannot meet us in our truth, who cannot honor the storms and sunshine within us. We apologize for sadness, for frustration, for needs that are natural and human. We shrink our hearts, soften our words, and quiet our desires, hoping that by doing so, love will stay. But love that requires you to erase yourself is not a home, it is a cage. And eventually, even the strongest spirit begins to break under the weight of what it cannot freely give. Love should not feel like walking on eggshells, guessing which words are safe, which gestures will be accepted. It should not make you question your worth or doubt your instincts. When love is genuine, it meets you where you are. It hears the trembling of your voice, and it listens without judgment. It holds your sorrow without blame, celebrates your joy without envy, and allows your heart to exist in its full depth without apology. When you feel exhausted or confused by love, it is not a reflection of your heart. It is a reflection of the person who cannot carry their own weight without borrowing yours. And so, you must honor yourself by seeing the truth of your relationships. Love that is healthy strengthens. Love that is genuine liberates. It does not ask you to compromise your boundaries, nor does it demand that your feelings be hidden, ignored, or silenced. To acknowledge this truth is not selfish. To step back from love that leaves you weary is not cruel. It is a recognition that your heart is sacred, that your emotions are valid, and that your spirit deserves to be nurtured, not depleted. When you begin to insist that love be kind, honest, and reciprocal, you do not close your heart to the world. You open it to something greater, respect, understanding, and connection that celebrates your being instead of using it. You teach yourself that your feelings are not a burden, that your heart is not a problem, and that love should be a source of energy, not exhaustion. And in this recognition, you find freedom, peace, and strength. You remember that you were never meant to apologize for existing, for feeling, or for loving. You were meant to shine brightly in a love that matches the fullness of your soul. And when you finally experience it, every doubt, every exhaustion, every apology will dissolve into the quiet triumph of knowing your worth. Manipulators do not break you loudly. They drain you softly, like water wearing down stone over years, until the edges of your spirit feel fragile and the memory of your own strength begins to fade. They do not shout or strike. They whisper, they nudge, they insist on small compromises until those small compromises become the boundaries of your life. You begin to feel invisible in the very spaces where you once shone, to question the worth of your own voice, and to wonder why giving so much leaves you so empty. And yet, this quiet erosion is not a reflection of weakness. It is a reflection of their hunger, and your awakening is coming. You may not notice it at first. You may smile through exhaustion, nod through confusion, and apologize for feelings that are natural and human. They will tell you that you are too sensitive, too demanding, too difficult. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to believe it. But do not let their soft whispers convince you that your fire has dimmed. The power you once held, the confidence you once carried, the clarity you once felt, they are still within you, waiting for the moment you will reclaim them. This is why awareness is your first weapon. When you see the patterns, when you recognize the subtle ways in which your energy is siphoned, you can stop the quiet erosion. You can honor yourself by naming it, by acknowledging that no one has the right to drain your light, and that boundaries are not optional. They are sacred. You may still love, still care, still give, but you will give from a place of strength, not depletion, from abundance, not emptiness. You will no longer let the gentle pressures of others write the story of your worth. Manipulation thrives in silence because silence allows it to go unnoticed. It thrives because you doubt yourself, because you forgive too quickly, because you believe in the goodness of those who have yet to prove it. But your spirit remembers its own power, and that memory is stronger than their strategy. Each time you say yes from love rather than fear, each time you step back to protect your energy, each time you honor your boundaries, you are reclaiming the life that has always belonged to you. And in reclaiming yourself, you find freedom. You learn that no one can diminish your strength without your permission, that no quiet pressure can erase your fire unless you allow it, and that your spirit is not a resource to be used. It is a force to be honored. The manipulators may continue their quiet work, but you will no longer be silent. You will speak, you will rise, and you will remember the brilliance you once thought was lost. The draining stops when you choose yourself, and the moment you choose yourself, you are unstoppable. When your worth is measured only by what you provide, not by who you are being used, not valued. There is a subtle cruelty in being treated as a utility, a quiet heartbreak in knowing that your presence is only noticed when it serves someone else's convenience. They may praise your help, admire your effort, or depend on your generosity, but they do not see you. They do not see the depth of your heart, the struggles you carry, the dreams that burn quietly in your soul. They see only what you can give, only the labor you can offer, only the energy you expend to make their lives easier. And when they cannot take anything more, when they have extracted all that they want, they move on, leaving you to wonder why your heart feels so empty despite your tireless giving. It is painful to realize that love, friendship, or respect is being traded for service rather than offered freely. You may have given endlessly, expecting nothing but connection in return, only to find that connection comes with conditions. Conditions that your value is tied not to your being, but to your output. And in that space, exhaustion becomes your companion, resentment whispers in your ears, and self-doubt begins to creep into your heart. You start to wonder if your feelings matter, if your presence matters, if you matter at all. But let me tell you this, you matter, not because of what you do, not because of what you give, not because of what you make possible for someone else, but because you are, simply and beautifully, human, alive, and deserving of respect. When others measure you only by your contributions, it is a mirror reflecting their priorities, not your worth. Their inability to see the fullness of who you are does not diminish your value. You are not diminished by their blindness, nor are you responsible for their lack of recognition. Your task is to honor yourself, to surround yourself with those who cherish your presence, who celebrate your soul, and who do not require proof of your love or labor before offering theirs in return. Those who truly value you will see your heart, not just your hands. They will listen to your thoughts, not just rely on your work. They will honor your being, not merely your usefulness. And so, it is time to draw a line, to reclaim the space that belongs to you, and to stop pouring endlessly into cups that never overflow for you. When you recognize the difference between being used and being valued, you gain freedom. You learn to offer yourself only where your presence is cherished, to give love where it is returned, and to dedicate your energy to relationships that lift you rather than drain you. Your worth is inherent, immeasurable, and beyond what anyone else can define. To live with this awareness is to rise, to shine, and to finally place yourself at the center of your own life. When you stop being measured by what you provide and start being honored for who you are, a transformation occurs. You reclaim your power, your dignity, and your joy. You begin to live in a world where your presence is treasured, your heart is respected, and your life is no longer borrowed, for the convenience of others. You are seen, you are valued, you are free. Guilt is their favorite tool because a guilty heart is easier to control than a confident one. It creeps in quietly, disguised as concern, as reminders, as subtle hints that you owe someone more than your own peace. It asks you to carry burdens that are not yours, to apologize for feelings that are natural, to shrink your light so others may feel larger. And when guilt is planted in your heart, it grows quickly, twisting the truth, bending your spirit, and convincing you that you are the problem, that your boundaries are selfish, that your needs are wrong. But hear this clearly: guilt is not a measure of your value, it is a weapon wielded to diminish it. Those who rely on guilt do not seek your happiness, they seek your compliance. They do not want you strong, they want you small. They thrive in the spaces where doubt replaces confidence, where apology becomes reflex, where hesitation takes the place of certainty. And the tragedy is that guilt works so well because we are taught from childhood to feel responsible for the discomfort of others, to apologize for existing, to weigh our actions in the balance of someone else's approval. But no one has the right to demand that you sacrifice your peace, nor the right to manipulate your heart into submission. When guilt is used against you, the first step to freedom is recognition. You must name it for what it is: a tactic, not a truth. You must understand that feeling guilty does not mean you are wrong. It means someone else is trying to rewrite your reality, to borrow your conscience, to bend your choices to serve their convenience. And in recognizing it, you reclaim power. You see that your confidence, your clarity, and your right to stand firm cannot be taken from you unless you allow it. Confidence is the antidote to manipulation. When you are rooted in your own worth, when you trust your feelings, when you honor your boundaries, guilt loses its hold. It whispers, it nags, it protests, but it cannot control what is grounded in truth. And so, you must cultivate confidence with intention, by saying no without fear, by standing firm without apology, by believing in the value of your voice and the sanctity of your peace. Each act of courage weakens the power of guilt and strengthens the foundation of your own life. And when you finally understand this, liberation is inevitable. You no longer bow to invisible chains. You no longer apologize for wanting respect, for asking for honesty, for protecting your heart. You walk through life with clarity, knowing that your worth is intrinsic, your choices are sovereign, and your confidence is a shield no one can breach. Guilt may still appear, but now it is powerless, a shadow that cannot dim the brilliance of a heart that knows its own truth. The moment you choose self-respect over approval, everything shifts. It is a quiet revolution, one that begins not with anger, not with confrontation, but with a steady, unwavering understanding of your own worth. For too long, we have sought validation in the eyes of others, shaping our words, our actions, and even our hearts to fit their expectations. We have measured ourselves by nods of acceptance, by fleeting smiles, by the approval that comes and goes like the wind. But approval is fragile, temporary, and outside of your control. Self-respect, on the other hand, is eternal. It is the foundation upon which your power stands, the compass that guides your voice, and the doorway to your freedom. Choosing self-respect is not an act of rebellion against others. It is an act of fidelity to yourself. It means refusing to compromise your values for the comfort of someone else. It means saying no when a demand is unfair, speaking up when silence would harm you, and walking away when staying would cost you your peace. In that choice, you honor the rhythm of your own heart. You no longer allow the fear of rejection to dictate your path, nor the desire for praise to determine your decisions. You step into your own authority, grounded in the knowledge that your existence, your thoughts, and your feelings are not conditional. When you place self-respect above approval, you reclaim your voice. No longer do you speak to please, to appease, or to avoid conflict. Your words carry weight because they come from truth, from clarity, from a heart that knows its own value. You discover that your voice is not a tool for others to wield, but a force to express your vision, your boundaries, and your soul. And with your voice comes courage, the courage to stand tall even when others question you, to walk forward even when others doubt you, and to live authentically even when the world expects conformity. Power follows naturally when self-respect is embraced. It is the power to choose who you allow into your life, the power to protect your energy, the power to refuse manipulation, and the power to define your own destiny. You no longer hand over your authority to those who cannot honor it. You no longer allow guilt, pressure, or obligation to dictate your path. Each act of honoring yourself strengthens your presence, sharpens your clarity, and illuminates the truth that you are deserving of respect without compromise. And freedom blooms when self-respect becomes your compass. Freedom is not merely the absence of control by others, it is the presence of peace within yourself. It is waking each day knowing that you are the keeper of your own heart, the steward of your own mind, and the guardian of your own soul. The world may still ask for your approval, may still attempt to sway you, may still demand your compromise, but when self-respect is your foundation, you stand unshaken, unwavering, unstoppable. In choosing yourself fully and unapologetically, you step into the life you were always meant to live, and nothing, no person, no circumstance can take that away.